She screen recorded her own affair and iMessaged it to me, so I taped it to her garbage bags. I was sitting on my couch, half watching a video my girlfriend sent me, when another man's text message slid across the top of my screen and told me everything I needed to know about the last 3 years of my life. I didn't move. I didn't breathe. I just watched the banner fade away like it hadn't just detonated a bomb inside my chest. Let me back up, because this story doesn't make any sense without context, and the context is going to make you feel sick in a way that sneaks up on you slow, like carbon monoxide. Her name was Priya. She was 26, she worked in pharmaceutical sales, she had this laugh that used to make me feel like I'd won something just by being in the same room as her. We'd been together for 3 years. 3 years of shared grocery runs, of inside jokes about bad reality TV, of her falling asleep on my shoulder during movies she'd begged me to watch and then abandon 20 minutes in. 3 years of what I genuinely, completely, with every functioning cell in my body believed was a real relationship. I'm Noah. I'm 28. I'm an electrician. I'm not the smartest guy in any room I walk into, but I've always prided myself on being solid, dependable, the kind of man who shows up, pays his bills, calls his mom on Sundays, doesn't cheat, doesn't lie, doesn't go looking for problems that aren't there. That last one is relevant. I never went looking. Priya was always on her phone. I mean always. In bed, at dinner, in the car while I was driving, in the middle of conversations that I thought we were having together. And I never, not once, made it a thing. Because she had her friend group, her girl squad, as she called them, and they were a tight unit. Constantly texting, constantly in each other's business, constantly sharing videos and memes and whatever else women in their mid-20s share with each other at 11:30 on a Tuesday night. I thought that was normal. I thought that was healthy, even. I used to brag about it to my buddy Dev. Man, I don't have trust issues. She's got her friends, I've got mine, we don't have to be in each other's pockets every second. Dev would just kind of nod. Looking back, I think Dev knew something. But I didn't. I was the happy idiot. The loyal, trusting, completely oblivious happy idiot who thought he had a good thing going. And then came Tuesday. Tuesday started like any other day. I just finished a job site over in the East End, rewiring an old Victorian that a young couple had bought and immediately realized was one exposed wire away from burning to the ground. Long day. Dirty hands. I got home around 6, kicked my boots off at the door the way she hated, nuked some leftover pasta, and collapsed onto the couch like a marionette with cut strings. Priya was already home. She'd beaten me by an hour or so. She was curled up on the other end of the couch in her work clothes, blazer still on, heels kicked off, scrolling through TikTok with the sound low. "Oh my God," she said, not even looking up. "You have to see this video." "What is it?" "Just watch it. It's literally 60 seconds. You're going to lose your mind." "Send it to me." "You don't have TikTok, so show me on your phone." She wrinkled her nose, this thing she did when she didn't want to do something but couldn't articulate why. "I don't want to hold it up for 60 whole seconds. Here, I'll screen record it and send it to you." That sentence, that completely ordinary, logistically reasonable, utterly mundane sentence. "I'll screen record it and send it to you." I said, "Yeah, sure." She fiddled with her phone for a minute. I heard the little bloop of an iMessage coming through on my phone, sitting on the cushion beside me. I picked it up. Video file. 63 seconds. I pressed play. The video was some guy doing a thing with a basketball. I don't even remember the specifics because I only watched 45 seconds of it before my entire nervous system rewired itself. At the 45-second mark, an iMessage banner dropped down from the top of the screen. From a contact named Mark Locked. The lock emoji. She'd put a lock emoji next to his name. I filed that away somewhere deep in my brain even as I was reading the message, even as my vision started doing this strange, swimmy, slow motion thing. The message said, "Last night was insane. Your BF is so clueless LOL." I read it once. I read it twice. The basketball video kept playing underneath it. 5 seconds later, 5 seconds that felt like being slowly lowered into cold water, another banner dropped. This one was from her best friend, Camille. It said, "Did you take the plan B yet?" The video ended. The room was completely silent. I could hear the refrigerator humming from the kitchen. I could hear Priya's thumb swiping on her phone screen across the couch. I could feel my heartbeat in my temples, in my fingertips, in my teeth. She hadn't watched it back before she sent it. She recorded the video, hit send, and went back to scrolling. She had no idea what she'd just put in my hands. She had literally, in high definition, with full notification banners, iMessaged me the HD proof of her own affair and her own pregnancy scare. And she was sitting 4 feet away from me, completely unaware. I want to try to explain what that moment felt like, because I think people hear, "I was angry," and they imagine something loud. Something that looks like rage on a movie screen, a man throwing a plate, or slamming a door, or saying something devastating in a voice that shakes. It wasn't like that. It was like the floor had turned to glass beneath my feet and I could see everything below it, every date, every "I love you," every time I defended her to someone who raised an eyebrow, every night she'd been out with the girls, every time her phone had buzzed and she'd flipped it face down just a little too casually, and the glass was cracking, and I could feel it giving way, and I was standing completely still because I understood that if I moved even an inch, I would fall through and never stop falling. I felt the heat rising in my neck. My vision went blurry at the edges, like someone was slowly adjusting the aperture on a camera from the outside. My hands, still rough from the job site, went completely cold. I set the phone down on my knee. Screen up. Video still visible. Funny, right? Priya said from her end of the couch, still not looking at me. Yeah, I heard myself say. Really funny. And then I picked up my phone and sent her a thumbs up emoji. One. Single. Thumbs up emoji. Thumbs up. She sent back a laughing face and kept scrolling. I sat on that couch for the next 2 hours and 40 minutes. I know because I watched the clock on the cable box. I watched it go from 6:47 to 9:29. I didn't move. I didn't speak. I didn't cry. I have never in my life been so completely still for so long. It was the kind of stillness that happens when your brain is working so hard on something so devastating that it forgets to tell the rest of your body to function. Priya went to bed around 9. She kissed me on the top of my head, while Mark locked, last night was insane, was sitting in my phone like a splinter in my palm, and said she was tired and she'd see me in the morning. Yeah, I said, good night. I waited until I heard the bedroom door click shut. Then I got up, walked to the kitchen, poured a glass of water, and drank the whole thing standing at the sink looking at nothing. I need to stop right here, because that's when the real bombshell dropped. Not the texts, not the affair, not the plan B. Those were the explosion. What I'm about to tell you is the crater. I went back to the couch and I started doing the thing I had promised myself, in 3 years of relationship, I would never do. I started going back through everything. Not her phone, I didn't have her phone, but my own memories. Every timeline, every alibi, every, I'm staying at Camille's, and every, work conference, and every, the girls and I are doing a spa weekend, babe, you'd be bored. And the thing I found, the thing that made the glass floor shatter completely, wasn't any single lie. It was the consistency of them. The way they had been so evenly spaced, so thoughtfully constructed, so practiced. This wasn't a moment of weakness. This wasn't one bad night after a fight. The timeline I was drawing in my head stretched back months, maybe longer. She'd been building a whole second story above the life we shared. And I had been so determined not to be the suspicious boyfriend, so committed to being the evolved, trusting partner, that I had handed her the construction permit and looked the other way while she built it. The lock emoji on Mark's name. She'd hidden him in plain sight. He was in her phone, but locked. Probably in a folder somewhere. Probably with a fake name in every other context. But in a moment of total, catastrophic carelessness, she'd screen recorded TikTok without flipping on Do Not Disturb, and Mark had texted her, and Camille had texted her, and she'd hit send before watching it back, and now it was sitting in my iMessage thread like a signed confession. I pulled up the screenshot. I looked at it for a long time. Then I opened my notes app, and I started making a list. Not an angry list. Not a list of accusations or evidence or things to say. Just a quiet, methodical, practical list. Garbage bags, tape, printer paper, screenshot. That was it. That was the whole plan. I didn't call Dev. I didn't call my brother. I didn't call anyone. I just sat in the dark living room with the list in my phone and the screenshot burned into the back of my eyes, and I waited for morning. Priya left for work at 8:15. She was in a good mood, bright, chatty, pouring her travel mug of coffee and asking me if I wanted her to pick up anything for dinner on the way home. Surprise me, I said. She smiled at me, kissed me on the cheek, walked out the door. I listened to her car back out of the driveway. I listened to it fade down the street. Then I went to the bedroom closet. I want to be honest about what it felt like to stand in that closet. I know some people are going to read this and think it was satisfying, some cathartic movie moment with swelling music and a sense of righteous power. It wasn't. Standing in front of her side of the closet, touching the fabric of her blazers and her dresses and her folded sweaters, was one of the loneliest things I have ever done. Because all of it was real. All of this fabric, all of these clothes that I had seen her in, that I had helped helped her choose sometimes, that I had touched when I hugged her. All of it had been wrapped around a person who had a completely different life than the one I thought we shared. I wasn't angry in that closet. I was just profoundly, bone-deep sad. But I kept moving. Because the thing about grief that nobody tells you is that it is not incompatible with action. You can cry and move at the same time. You can have your heart broken and still pick up a garbage bag. I took every piece of clothing off her side of the closet. The blazers, the dresses, the cardigans. I opened her dresser. Tops, pajamas, workout clothes, the little stack of folded things she kept at the very bottom that she thought I'd never noticed. All of it. Every drawer. I worked slow and careful, which I think surprised me. I expected to be throwing things. I wasn't. I folded some of them, which is insane in retrospect, but at the time it felt important to not be the kind of person who destroys things. 11 garbage bags. I counted. 11. I carried them out to the driveway one by one and lined them up in a neat row like I was setting out recycling. And then I went to the printer. I pulled up the screenshot on my laptop. The screen recording. The 45-second mark. Mark's message. Camille's message. Full banner notifications. Full contact names. Full timestamps. I made the font as large as I could while keeping both banners on the page. I printed 2 copies on full-size paper. I printed a third as backup. I taped 1 copy to the front bag. I taped another to a bag in the middle. I went back inside. I sat at the kitchen table. I drank another glass of water. And then I picked up my phone and I composed a text. Not to Priya. To Camille. Hey Camille. This is Noah. I think you should probably call Priya and warn her that her ride home from work might be complicated today. And in the future, you might want to double-check your group chat settings. I sent it. I put the phone face down on the table. 4 minutes later my phone was ringing. It was Priya. I let it go to voicemail. She called again. Voicemail. Text. Noah, what is going on? Camille just texted me something. I looked at the text. I set the phone back down. She called a third time. I answered. The silence on the line lasted maybe 2 seconds before she said, in a voice that was already brittle, already cracking at the edges, Noah. Don't, I said. And my own voice surprised me. It was so quiet, so flat, like something had been removed from it. Let me explain. Priya. I paused. I took a breath. You send it to me. She went completely silent. You screen recorded the TikTok, I said. You forgot to turn on Do Not Disturb. Mark texted you at the 45-second mark. Camille texted you 5 seconds later. You sent me the video without watching it back. I have the screenshot. Nothing. I have known, I said, for about 18 hours. I heard her breathing. Sharp, shallow, the kind of breathing that happens right before someone starts to cry, or right before they start to lie. She chose the lie. It's not what you think, she whispered. Mark is just, he's a friend from work, and that text was. A friend from work named Mark who you put a lock emoji next to in your phone, I said, who says your boyfriend is clueless, and whose activities apparently required a plan B the next morning. The breathing stopped. Your clothes are in the driveway, I said. I taped the screenshot to the bags. Noah, I'm going to my brother's tonight. I need you to have the bags off the driveway before the neighbors come home from work. Noah, please, can you please just let me come home and we can talk? There is nothing, I said, and here is where my voice finally broke. Just once, just for a second, like a scene giving way under too much pressure, that you can say to me. You send it to me. In the video, you sent me the proof. I heard her make a sound on the other end. Not a word, just a sound. The sound a person makes when they realize the thing they have been very carefully and successfully hiding has been sitting in someone else's hands for 18 hours. I said, goodbye, Priya. I ended the call. I sat at the kitchen table for another 20 minutes. The refrigerator hummed. A car passed outside. Somewhere down the street, someone's dog was barking. Then I picked up my phone, called my brother Marcus, and said, hey, can I come over? I need a couch. What happened? Marcus said immediately, brothers always know. I'll explain when I get there, I said. I'm okay. I need a couch. It's yours, he said. Come now. I packed a bag. Not 11 bags, just one, a duffel with some clothes and my charger and my work boots. I took my tools out of the hall closet and loaded them into my truck. I stood in the living room one more time and looked at the couch where I'd watched the video, where I'd sat for 2 hours and 40 minutes not breathing, where Priya used to fall asleep on my shoulder, and I felt something in my chest go very still and very quiet. Then I picked up my duffel and walked out. I drove to Marcus's. I told him the whole thing. He sat at his kitchen table across from me and just listened. Good older brothers know when to talk and when to just be there, and when I was done he was quiet for a long moment and then he said, she screen recorded it. She sent it herself. Yeah, she sent you the evidence. In HD. Marcus let out this long, slow breath. Man, he said. That was it. Just, man, which I think covered it. That was yesterday. Today I'm sitting on his couch. My phone has 43 unread messages, from Priya, from Camille, from numbers I don't recognize. I've read none of them. I've responded to none of them. The bags are off the driveway. I know because my neighbor Mrs. Anand texted me. She's a sweet woman in her 60s. She's always looking out for me, and said, Noah, dear, I saw the bags. I don't know what happened, but I want you to know you're a good boy. Come for tea this weekend. I don't know what's next. I know that 3 years is a long time. I know that the guy who told Dev he didn't have trust issues is going to have a very different answer to that now. I know that for a long time when I see someone screen recording their phone, I'm going to feel it in the center of my chest like a cold hand. But here's what I also know. I didn't go looking. I wasn't the jealous boyfriend who checked her messages or demanded her passwords or showed up unannounced to catch her in something. I sat on my couch, watched a video my girlfriend sent me, and the truth walked right up and introduced itself at the 45-second mark. I know that I sat with it for 18 hours before I said a word. I know that I packed her things carefully, in bags, and put them outside, not thrown, not destroyed, not turned into a scene. I know that I taped the screenshot to the bags because she needed to know that I knew, and she needed to know it in a way that was unmistakable and permanent and required exactly 0 words from me. I know that I sent a thumbs up emoji, and I know that it was the most devastating thing I have ever communicated to another person. And I know that somewhere in a parking garage or a bathroom stall or a break room right now, Priya is staring at a printed screenshot of the text messages she accidentally sent me, taped to the garbage bags that hold the wardrobe of the life she was living while she was living a completely different one with me. She built the evidence. She sent the evidence. I just printed it out and made sure it arrived. Mark thinks I'm clueless. I want to ask you something, and I want you to really think about it before you answer. If you were me, if you'd sat on that couch for 18 hours with that knowledge burning a hole through you, if you'd packed those bags and printed that screenshot and sent that single thumbs up, would you have done anything differently? Or did she get exactly what she sent herself?
If you have made it this far and want to see more videos like this, then kindly subscribe and turn on notifications so you may never miss another story like this.